Welcome to our show, The Crossover, a show aimed at bridging gaps between Jews and Christians. Today we have a very special guest on our show, Taizir Abu Sada. He is a former Muslim who is now a Christian. He was trained to hate Jews and the fact of Israel's very existence. After the humiliating Arab defeat in the 1967 war with Israel, Taz joined the Fatah forces, the PLO under Yasser Arafat. In Fatah, Taz was trained as a sniper to kill Jews. He also trained young children to fight and kill Jews. Here's Mitch and Taz.
Taz, welcome to The Crossover. We're glad you can be with us.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Taz, we've heard you speak the last couple of days in different churches, and you always start with 1 Timothy. Would you share that with us today? After reading that, and I know that you had a lot of hate at one time in your life. I'm not putting words in your mouth. That is accurate.
No, this is very true.
And at one time you were obviously trained by Arafat's Fatah unit as a sniper. Mm-hmm. And your mission was to shoot Jewish people, and your mission also was to, well, you also took some shots at Arab Christians in their homes, and even your teachers, your Muslim teachers, I know you even attempted to kill.
I was truly a violent man in my youth.
And we know this is a transformation that we're going to be sharing with the people mm-hmm. today. Well, that was where you had come from. I know you were living in Qatar with your parents and had left Qatar to come to the United States, to come to Missouri, and not with your parents' blessings, I understand. You were kind of violent there, and they were just kind of like some parents here too, just get out of the house and go, be gone.
Anywhere you want, just get out of here.
And now you were working in a restaurant in Kansas City. You had a job as a dishwasher, and over I think a 19-year period, worked your way up to actually owning, being able to buy.
Almost owning.
The restaurant.
The restaurant, yeah.
And your clientele was primarily a Jewish clientele. How ironic, if there is such a, if that is ironic or not. Here you are moving from Qatar to the middle of America, and you found a restaurant that was mainly Jewish clientele. And you wanted to take this restaurant to a new location, and one of the locations happened to be an ex-funeral parlor. Mm-hmm. And some fear arose when you walked in here. And why don't you pick up from that point on? You're looking for a new location for your restaurant, yeah. And it's in what used to be a funeral parlor. And take us from there to Charlie and the special connection that your friend Charlie had for you.
Charlie was having dinner February of 1992 at the restaurant, and he's excited. He found a location for me. He said, "Taz, I found a beautiful place for you to have this restaurant moved to." And so I was excited. I said, "Okay, where is that, Charlie?" He said, "You know, there's a building on Broadway called the Villa." I looked at him and I said, "Charlie, I was just there 3 days ago, and man, when I walked into this place, I felt creeps all over the place." So he laughed at me. He laughed so hard, and then he looked me straight in the eye, and for the first time, he goes like, he tells me that, "Taz, you know why you felt that way?" I said, "No, why?" He said, "Because you don't have the fear of God in you." And he was boldly looking at me. I looked at him and said, "Charlie, what are you talking about? I'm a Muslim. I fear God." He said, "No, you don't. But if you did, you know, you won't feel that way. But not to worry, I can help you, that I can fix it. I got connection." And he points his finger to the sky. I laughed at him and I walked away. But
so then for the next 3 weeks, if I remember, Taz,
oh yeah,
you just that seed of some connection Charlie had just resounded in your mind and kept growing stronger and stronger, and you kept coming back to Charlie to meet him, and he kept saying, "Well, call me up next week and we'll get together." And it never got together. Weeks passed. I think you said you came to him one more time on your knees, almost begging, if I'm not putting...
3 weeks, yeah. The third
and saying,
week.
"Charlie, I need to know about this connection."
That's right.
Take us to Charlie's house. He picked you up one day because you couldn't even drive. You said you were going crazy. He picked you up, brought you to his home, and he was going to share this connection. Pick up from there.
Yeah, I remember when we got to the house, he opens the door and he lets me in ahead of him. And he's behind me and he goes, "Taz, to have the peace that I have." Charlie had such a peace on him that I wanted so bad. And he said, "To have the peace that I have, you must love a Jew." Oh my goodness, that just, my blood started rising up to my brain fast. And I turned around and I said, Charlie, what are you saying? You know, you know everything about me. Why are you saying this? I hate these Jewish people. I'll never love them. He said, well, Tass, just settle down, settle down. You know, the truth of the matter is, as you mentioned earlier, the majority of my customers were Jews. About 85% of them. And all these years that I was serving there, I could never find any kind of love for them. They treated me very well. They loved me. They trusted me to plan their meals for them. And they...
Did you ever think, Tass, of harming them, or...?
Oh my goodness, so many times I wanted to put poison in their food. But thank God, I believe that God prevented me from doing that.
And we want our viewers to understand that this battle in the Mideast, this violent conflict, is it going to be settled at a table, you think, Tass, with
you know something?
Governments trying to rule?
I really believe with all of my heart, and I pray that my people are watching this, will get this into their heart and think about this. The battle that we are fighting in the Middle East is not a political battle. It's a spiritual battle. And that battle is not going to be won politically, it's going to be won spiritually. There is no answer. There is no political answer. There is no answer for that in Washington or in Europe or anywhere else. The answer is right here. When we all come to know the truth and God's plan. You know, when I started reading this Bible and realized that I was not fighting the Jewish people. My people, the Palestinian people, or the Arab altogether, are not fighting the Jewish people. They are fighting
What did you learn?
God.
When did you learn that, Tass? At what point?
Right after I got saved and began to read the Word of God and realized from the Old Testament God's promises to Isaac. He promised him the land, and it's clear. Even the Quran says that God gave the land to, it says in Surah 17, in the verses 100 to 104, it says, and Allah spoke to Moses and told him, I have given the land of Canaan to the Israelites as an everlasting inheritance for them and their children after them.
Wow, that's in the Quran.
And it's in the Quran. And as a Muslim, I never saw it. I never saw it until after I got saved and I began to study the Quran even closer than I've ever studied it. And I began to see these things. You know,
well, it seems like a lot of people maybe don't see that when they read it then. We wouldn't be having this. We promised we wouldn't talk politics here.
No,
we're not.
We're not really talking politics, but I really feel it's an important part. I want to share from my heart about me personally. When I used to read the Quran, I wasn't thinking about what I was reading. And I really believe many of us don't think about what we're reading. We take it for granted because we were born Muslims and it is the Word. But when I began to read the Quran after I was saved, I began to see things that I was not seeing before. And one of these things is the fact that the Quran said that the land belongs to the Israelites, Canaan land. So that by itself gave me peace to believe and to stand for the right of Israel to exist. And I'll be willing to stand for that right, Victor.
Coming from your pastor and being a Muslim.
Yes, and I pray that many of us will